95 minutes late. Did they tell you?
Oh, wow. Down here.
Oh, they didn't come in?
Mara's here.
Then he's 95 minutes late. We're already 5 minutes? Hey, don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just telling you.
You're gonna struggle with the first name, well, last name.
That makes my name look easy.
How are you?
Good, how you doing?
Tell me your.
Zappatelli, Joe Zappatelli, yeah.
Zap?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my first name's Joe, but Zappatelli, Zappitelli.
Okay, you could text that to me.
And this is what you're doing today, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I tend to keep it like 1 to 2 minutes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but I don't know, I can go as long, I can talk as
Good.
long as anybody wants to.
Oh, yeah.
45 minutes to get
Martha's
from there
not
to
here.
split, in the house. Yeah.
There she is.
Park will be closed. North. Oh, okay. That's gonna be hard.
I think that's good, well, like, I think that's good, they said to keep it over.
Part-time. Everybody's fucking doing it. Yeah, I'm sure you're in check. Oh.
Did you get my emails last Friday?
You're just sending everything in to me ahead of time.
Yeah, I brought it all.
Thank you.
We have some time afterwards.
Yes.
Okay.
That handicap one?
Yeah.
I know, I'm going to,
That would be North Road. You could do that.
Martha.
Yes, I have a sign sheet here.
Got a few minutes, we're just running a little behind here.
I was curious, it's still sitting on my desk.
Okay.
You work here for the
Board of Elections.
Okay.
Director.
Who you
So.
Not too bad.
It is. A little contentious right now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
So I've only been at the director's position for 2 years, but I've been with the county.
Put it on the agenda.
I believe you.
It's on there.
Yeah, a couple of days. Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, where you located at?
Right here on
Oh,
422.
okay.
What, I need to put my, anytime you wanna come in with the staff? Well, I put them on the bid, but then,
Yeah.
requested that.
I would be happy to, we'll probably be able to, they'll come in and do. Yeah,
So they're both,
people have local people they can talk to, they'll have.
Very,
I don't think I contacted you today, or you emailed, where, just managing to people on the street, you know?
Yeah.
So, just didn't feel, I got anything that was.
They're not like.
Okay.
They're good for doing it.
I remember you looked at my portfolio one day and said,
Pretty much.
you did a really good job on this. I said, actually, you did nothing. And knew I didn't want to use them. Now you're gonna use them.
Yeah.
Said, no, I didn't. It's just the way it is.
They're good, I was, and then, they're not very well.
Kind of signature there, but.
Okay. I'll be interested to hear what you got.
Today I won't.
Right.
I'll be happy.
Would you mind getting this thing more signature?
What?
My contract for the elevator.
He's not here yet. October 11th.
Huh?
Need that done by October 11th. Open that door.
You witness, do the other witness tomorrow soon.
Yeah, I'm working, what's the matter with
right under yours.
You don't work.
And then contractors, let me call, contract.
I don't know. United.
United.
Stressing me out a little bit, this is,
It's not working.
the plan, the Brooksville plan, I think, Jackie needs to get signed. Alright, thanks. Just wait, give us a few minutes here, then we'll get started.
Yeah.
Or lean her back or here. How's it going?
I gotta respond to you to something, I don't remember what it was.
What?
There was an email that I didn't respond to that I meant to.
The water?
Water,
I'm like, the water? I will gladly.
yes, you need a check.
Whatever everybody wants to do, it doesn't matter, I'll cover that. We'll take turns, I'll cover in for the one who doesn't cover, so. It's only fair, I use it a lot.
We don't have technically.
Yeah.
Well, you do.
We do.
Good water.
She called out, we so much. We always get together.
So it's September, October, and November, yeah. I mean, I'll pay, yeah, I know.
My ball water.
I know.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, hey, listen, I don't know who chose it or how we got about it, but I know Denny paid for,
You know
I
what?
think he paid for the install.
Yeah, he said, yeah.
Anybody know about the water?
He told me,
Okay.
so we sent in the
Did he?
thing that declining the appointment, and we got like an appointment thing.
Right.
We declined it. When we get closer to the election and he knows his schedule, he
It's
said
okay.
that he would, if he's not working.
I mean, I'll pay the $170,
But we
I
just
don't care,
know
cause I
because
use it,
CVS
so.
made
But-
schedule and he won't know his schedule right away and he doesn't wanna miss it.
Whatever.
The other issue that may be happening, but
Not a big
hopefully
deal.
not that
She's
soon,
not gonna
is I
miss
may have to get.
Oh, no.
So.
How's that ever?
And if I had to have cataract surgery, I need, like.
That's fine.
I need to warn you.
No, sorry.
Home health care, don't you know people?
He can use my.
Just saying.
If I have a choice, it would be
that
later
fountain water is
rather than
awful.
sooner, just 'cause I have.
Awful.
But,
It's
We'll
awful,
see how that's around
it
here.
tastes.
well, it'll be, Chardonnay, I mean,
Mhm.
you know, I live like closer. And my doctor, I've had the same doctor for years, but I have cataracts, I've known I've had them for like 4 years. I'm struggling right now a little bit, and I don't know if it's cataracts or new prescriptions, I don't know which. So it's seeing the doctor on the 7th, so I'll know then if I have to.
It's completely up to you, Martha, but I can cover the community resources for you, if you'd like, if not.
I like when somebody's here, I prefer because they have the knowledge, but that's, I mean, I have what's written, so if you. Yes, because, I don't have anything for sanitary. It's like, there's nothing for
Oh, there's
sanitary.
no Bob.
There's no Bob.
There's not.
There's no
That's
Bob
2 weeks in a
today.
row.
Yeah, no Bob.
You're giving Bob
He
off
has
2
no,
weeks in a
no
row.
transactions on
I can't
here,
believe it.
So I didn't wanna tie him up for them all.
Yeah. We miss it.
It's like almost unheard of.
But
Yeah, I
that's
know.
because, that's because we've changed the way that we did
Oh,
things.
that's true.
So that we didn't, they don't have to come through here every,
Yeah.
and that was per the auto letter, so that
Okay.
worked out well.
All right,
Wow, that really did. Frees up a lot of time for him.
Yeah.
Good.
yeah.
Okay, we'll get started here. Starting a little bit late. Good morning. Hope everybody had a good weekend. And we are recorded again, so if we call on you, please make sure you state your name and, your office or where you're from. Gets it for the record. Dispense with the reading of the minutes, approve the bills, additional, oh, yeah, we do that, yeah.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Here.
Mr. Malloy,
Here.
Ms. Frenchco.
Okay, then, dispense with the reading of minutes, approve the bills, additional appropriations.
Okay,
So, auditor, sheriff, and commissioners.
all right, Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor. The one listed for the auditors, the 500, is for 3 additional Office 365 licenses. You'll see that as we roll out, we'll be having those trickling out. Thank you. For the sheriff's office, it's, fiscal year, 24 TAG Drug Task Force grant. And then for the commissioners, it's the ARPA, and these were the change orders that we had, 84,786 for the Board of Elections roof replacement, and 5,200 for the family court boiler, which, totals 89,986.
Okay? And transfer appropriations.
Right.
Human Resources, Coroner, Auditor, Children's Services, Probate.
I will take the Human Resources, Alexandra Dean-Jonesy-Bush, Human Resources Director. The 919 to Fund Number 720, the IRS increased our PCORI, self-insured rate. So per employee, it was $2.79. The IRS has increased that to $3 per employee. So that's the difference that we need to cover this year's, 919, not too bad. And like I want to remind everybody is this is a transfer fund to fund. So it's not that we don't have the money, we're just transferring to a different fund. The 4,300 is a new workman's comp program that we started this year. So in order for us to join and get rebates back from the Bureau of Workman's Comp, we had to hire a consultant who did job analysis for sanitary engineers department. I don't know if there's anybody else in here that took part of that grant, but it's a really big deal. So what it does is it gives us a job analysis, what they can do if they were hurt, what they can't do if they were hurt. So that way we can get people back to like duty versus just having people off on workman's comp. So we had to pay $4,300 for them to do those job analyses. We own those job analyses. We have them forever. We will use them, and then we get money back if we put them through this program. So hopefully we'll recoup all of our money back in the long run. But it's a benefit for our employees, so.
Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor, I'll do the rest of these. And again, remember, these are actually within a fund item, line item to line item. So the coroner's office, that was $100 that was needed for equipment. Auditor's office, we have two on there. Actually, one is really for maintenance, so we did it through our office, and it was, you, voted, on 9/7/23 for the asbestos removal for the record center, but there was no money, there wasn't enough money to cover that, so we did a line item transfer in order to cover that. So that was already approved. And the other one that's ours is we did have an over budget in our payroll accounts, and we had to do a transfer to cover that. For CSB, there's two there. One is increased daycare costs for children in foster care, building materials for upgrades and repair, mileage reimbursement, for staff making out-of-state visits to children and pest control services. The other $6,000 is to, add entry physicals for new placements and placement changes, and an increase in MSW, social or tuition costs for employees. The last one is probate, and it's, increase in operation supplies. Move on to the next agenda item, number 5, and our amended certificates from the Budget Commission. Sheriff's Office is, $40,000. They're getting a TCAP allocation from adult probation. Planning is additional money received from Howland Township for their local share of the Golden Triangle project. Also the $500 estimated resources addition, it kind of corresponds to the additional appropriations up above for auditors, $500 for the licenses. The $50,000 for the sheriff's is additional federal seizure money received, and the tag drug task force is the remaining one.
Julie Green, Trumbull County Planning. Martha, I believe the fund number for community development should read 225.
Maybe have Lisa change that. I don't know if it's just a typo or what, but it should be 225 on the estimated resources.
Okay.
I don't know if somebody made a typo. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, thank you. Number 6, to accept 2 change orders with iVideo associated with the AV project in Trumbull County Commissioners' hearing room. Change order number 1 is a cost reduction of $1,666 from the original quote of $69,679. The final invoice of $68,012. Change order number 2 is accept the cost of additional items for a total of $1,177.67. After both changes are implemented, a final cost savings of the project will be $488.33, making the final price $67,523.98.
Hand for Trumbull County IT. This is just going to be adding a wired mic to the podium there. The 2 items that we removed were touch panels that were to be put into this room. The original intention when we spec'd this out was we were gonna have the clerk handle the meetings, be able to use these touch panels. That's not gonna be feasible, so we decided that we were gonna go ahead and remove those 2 items, which gave us the initial cost reduction. With the wired mic, it gives us the addition of a secure system going to that podium. And then also too, we'll be able to use that wireless mic as needed. So if we have individuals that cannot go to the podium for whatever reason, we would have that wireless.
Thank you. Number 7, to approve a wage increase of precinct election officials from $9.20 an hour to $9.55 an hour on election day. This increase is the most allowable by Ohio law. It'll be effective election year 2024.
Edgar McKevich from the Board of Elections, Deputy Director. We're proposing this, we haven't had a wage increase for precinct election officials since 2018. It only amounts to $4.92 an hour for a long day, 14-hour day. We think we were one of the lowest in the state again, and we're trying to bring it up to what the most we could pay.
Okay. Number 8, award the final extension for the only bids that were awarded on September 15th, Journal Volume 153, page 24263, for the Youth Build of Trumbull County Metropolitan Housing Authority and Jobs for Ohio Graduates to provide youth services through the WIOA Comprehensive Case Management Program.
Thank you, Commissioner. Dimitri Leogas, Workforce Development Board. When we procure the youth services, we usually go out on a 3-year contract with annual renewals thereafter. Their performance has been adequate, so we are going to extend their final contract extension. Next year, we'll have to re-procure those services again. The wage, or everything is relatively the same, just some small increases for wage and incentives to cover the wages for those individuals. I made you guys, I attached all the supporting documents for you. I'll personally hand Commissioner Frenchco hers, and we're just looking for that approval.
Very good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9, request the reappointment of Mr. Donald Emerson to an additional 7-year term to the Warren Trumbull County Public Library Board of Trustees beginning January 1, December 31st, 2030. Do you have any documentation for him, or any application or anything like that, or?
He sent a letter through the mail.
Okay. Get that, appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay.
The other members of the Board of Trustees recommended that he be appointed.
Well, the letter was from him specifically.
To authorize Denny Malloy, President of the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners, to sign and return the release and assignment form associated with Forest Hills Estate Plat Number 4, Performance Bond Number 627174666. Trumbull County Planning Commission sent a letter to CNA Surety in September of 22 in coordination with Trumbull County Engineers Office, requesting payment from a performance bond issued in 2016. The estimated cost provided by the Trumbull County Engineer to complete the outstanding items of work needed to complete the roadway is $21,100. The county reserves the right to make a claim for the remainder of the bond and the amount of $2,900 if necessary. Proper completion of this work is guaranteed by performance bond number 627174666, issued by the Western Surety Company in the amount of $24,000 on March 21st, 2016. Recommendation of the Planning Commission. Julie?
Pretty straightforward. This is Julie Green, Trumbull County Planning, as stated in the journal item. We've been working with the county engineers to resolve this work that was never completed for Forest Hills Plat Number 4. And we finally were able to, work through all the requirements and receive feedback from the surety company. And so the county engineer, working with Gary Schaefer, he is, going to be moving forward with finalizing the work and moving forward with final dedication and acceptance for this section of Oakwood Drive in Allen Township.
Item number 11, to approve a biennial revision to the Trumbull County's Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Plan. Trumbull County's expanded the services provided through the Prevention, Retention, and contingency PRC program effective October 1, 2023. Anybody here for this?
Yes, Commissioner John Gargano, Director of JFS. This is required by, Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 5108, that we have to look at and modify the plan as it's written. And the two revisions, as you can see, one is called Kinship Caregiver Program, which is in conjunction with the Children's Services Board, that we provided certain services. However, the state has taken away the funding, so that program will not be available. Also, the Adult Non-TANF Employment Incentive Program that we had, also the state has taken away that funding, so we've had to eliminate that program. Those are the two major subjects of this. There was just verbiage and grammatical changes that the state required, which we had done. That was that one. And if you want, I could go on to number 12.
Okay.
Annually, we prepare a report as to Job and Family Services and Child Support, identifies, what we do and the cost of those things, and we're just asking that it be on file with the county.
Number 13, approve personnel action for the employment of Ms. Ruth Skosick for the full-time position of HR coordinator, effective Monday, October 2nd. Alexandra?
Yes, Commissioner. We had 50 total applicants for this position. We narrowed it down to 10 who were potentially going to be interviewed. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 who either didn't show for their interview or declined the interview. So that left us with 6 that we actually interviewed. The ranking was provided to you. We went through everything, and I think it's pretty straightforward. Ruth will be coming to us as an external candidate. She lives in Hiram. She's currently an HR director for 28 actual long-term care facilities. She manages all those from the HR perspective. She's looking to get out of healthcare, looking for an 8:30 to 4:30 job, and she's really looking to be a support system for our team. So we are really looking forward to her coming on board.
How many years' experience does she have? She's been there for a long time?
Yeah. So before she actually was HR for the nursing home facilities, she actually had her own company. So she started her own company. She was HR of her own company. She's actually published she's actually published journals about HR work and stuff. So yeah, I'm telling you right now, I'm really excited to have her. So she brings a wealth of knowledge to Trumbull County as far as HR goes.
Great. Number 14, award the lowest responsible bid for the TRU 2023 road program submitted by the Shelley Company in the amount of $1,146,402 for the TRU 2023 road program. Consists of the resurfacing of Addison Road in Brookfield Township, Howland Wilson Road in Squires Lane in Howland, Jones Road in Liberty Township. At the time, partial authorization is requested in the amount of $585,000 to complete Howland Wilson Road.
Thank you, Commissioners. Steve Burberry from the Engineers Office. This was a bubble project for us for 2023. That's why it's kind of coming in late. Roads that are listed here will be paved. We're hoping to be able to get Howland Wilson done this year yet, weather permitting. So there's still like a 50-50 chance. That's why we're asking you to authorize about half of the money, Howland Wilson. There's no need for us to encumber the full amount this year. The other bids were attached and included.
They've already started on Howland Wilson, they just have to complete it?
No, they haven't started. It's 50-50 if they'll even be able to do it this year. But
Okay.
we wanna have the money available if weather cooperates and if they're, they have other work lined up as well. So if the stars line up, we could maybe get that done this year.
Okay, number 15, to approve the ODOT Jobs and Commerce Grant awarded to Trumbull County for True Larchmont Bronze Overland Intersection Improvements Project located in Howland Township in the amount up to $150,000. And authorize me, President of the Board, to execute said agreement with associated conflict of interest and ethics disclosure form.
It's Steve Gerber again with the engineer's office. This, there's actually 3 projects that were lumped into one with the county, Allen Township, and the city of Warren. It was 80% funded by EDA. The $150,000 is a grant that our office received to help with our local share. And our portion would be, Larchmont Bronze, Overland intersection where the railroad tracks are. It'll improve that intersection. It'll allow the trucks to turn left back towards bypass if they're coming out of that. Improvements if that's
Number 16,
I'm sorry. Since we're on the Golden Triangle, Julie Green, Trumbull County, I brought up the, fund number being wrong before. The fund number is correct, fund number 223.
Okay,
So when I saw CD FY '21, I assumed it was for a CDBG program, but as Martha mentioned, it was for the Golden Triangle pay-in. It's just, I'm used to seeing FY '21 for our CDBG, not for
Okay.
Golden Triangle stuff.
Okay.
Because that's an EDA grant. So
you got it?
maybe we can label it EDA Golden Triangle, or I don't know, just for clarification purposes.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry for the confusion.
It's all right, thank you, Julie.
I didn't think Martha was wrong.
Martha can very well be wrong.
First,
I mean,
I'm a little shocked.
we're all human.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
number
one of the few people admit when they're wrong.
Number 16, concur with Trumbull County
Good trait,
Engineer to grant
Joey.
special hauling permit to haul steel coils, Darrow Transportation. And then number 17, right-of-way permit for Dominion East, Ohio.
It's Steve Gerber again. Those are both routine permits. One's a steel coil permit, the other is a gas service connect.
Was there a leak in the one that's on Phillips Race, the Dominion East, Ohio? The buzz through the neighborhood was there fire trucks and there was some form of a gas leak or something, I thought last week.
I'm not sure.
Number 18. In the matter of creating the Trumbull County Transportation Improvement District and determining the structure for and appointing members of the Board of Trustees, Trumbull County Transportation Improvement District. I'm not gonna read all the stuff that's there, but this is to form the TID. And
And Commissioner, as you know, I believe this is, Mauro Cantwell Mesa Commissioner. That was one of the, for, Ohio Revised Code 5540.02, that was one of the ways that we could, excuse me, form the TID, but if you look at the next, number 20, Lisa?
Yes.
19 and 20, yeah.
Okay. That's the other way that we could form the TID, which is what I'm proposing. I think it's a little bit more streamlined. Obviously, it still includes the county engineer, which is critically important. You know, our lead economic development agency in the county, which is, the county's lead economic development agency, which is the planning commission, would be included. Obviously, our clearinghouse, our council of governments, it would be included. As I said, the board of commissioners would be included because, you know, we're responsible for the formation of it. County auditor would be included in it. If there are any special assessments or improvements on any districts or any projects, I think that's important. So it mirrors a lot of what Mahoning County, has done. So,
where is the change there? Which,
it should be in there. I was looking for it myself. Is that in there?
this is the 5-member board you're looking at now?
The 5-member board, yes.
Right, because I'm looking at what you have here.
Okay, I'm sorry, it is the first one, it is 18,
Okay,
I
so-
apologize. So, if you go to section 3 of 18, a representative from the county engineer's office first, a representative from Metropolitan Planning Organization, which would be our
So, it says we can have a 5-member board, but you added these 5 in here?
I did.
These are ones that you wanted to...
Just to get the ball rolling, because I know that we have to do this. It's rather timely, but I'm welcome to discuss or make different suggestions. I mean, this was just something that, in talking to Julie and talking to Nick with our planning commission, and looking what Mahoning County did.
I agree with it, the way Mahoney County did. I agree with the 5-person board. This is a board that's appointed by us, and then there will be 1 non-voting member appointed by the Speaker of the House.
Right.
All right, now, let's go over them then.
Sure.
Because this is what I was proposing too,
Okay.
but I haven't seen yours, and let's see if we're on the same
Okay.
page with that. Representative County Engineer, I agree.
Yes.
Okay. Representative from Eastgate, I agree also. Chairman of the Board of Commissioners,
I mean, it's a function of the Board of Commissioners, that's why I think we need to have representation on it.
yep. And, representative from the County Office of Economic Development, so that would be
Our planning commission,
Nick Coggins,
yes,
in
Economic
particular?
Development Director, yeah.
Yeah. And then representative from the County Auditor's Office, which would be Martha. That's
She'd be
a-
what-
Or a representative.
Or representative, yeah,
Right.
right. Your deputy or.
Right.
I just think that's important as well, because I mean, with some of these projects, there could be assessments.
Right, it makes sense.
The only difference that I had, I didn't have me on there, a board member. I was kinda thinking our sanitary engineer, because remember, we're doing a road project. There are issues
true.
under the road that will involve sanitary,
True.
and to just prevent a conflict in there of communication-wise with it. That was the only difference that I had.
And I'd be open to that.
Could I make a suggestion?
Yes.
And for number 3, then, just, the chairman of the Board of Commissioners or his representative, and then you could choose to do that.
He's our department anyway, if you wanna have Gary go to those meetings.
Because the other ones say representative, but
Or-
that doesn't.
Right.
So that if you put the language as the chairman of the Board of Commissioners or his representative, then that covers it.
All right, let's do that, and then I can talk to Jason. I have an event with him,
Okay.
this weekend, I think Thursday or something. And maybe Jason would appoint our sanitary engineer. I don't know what his thought is.
Okay,
But at least then, you know, that Gary would be there,
right.
and he can advise, and he's not a voting member, but he can advise the rest of the board on those types of issues.
Okay. Are we missing another spot on there for the Port Authority or anything like that, or is the amount that we need to have is correct here?
The amount is 5.
Okay.
The only difference is it says in the revised code also somewhere, and I don't see it on here, that these all have to be Chamber of Commerce members. And I think we have that. I think they all are. But somewhere it said that, and I don't know how that came to be, but
That,
I'll look into that. But,
yeah, okay.
but, so you wanna vote it in and name the people right away? Because I saw the way it was in revised code was there's 5, and I don't know if we can do that as separate things. Form the TID and then appoint the TID members, or if you wanna form the TID and appoint at the same time, we just have to look into that, maybe run that by the front.
I'm open to it either way, I just know the time is of the essence.
Crazy things.
Well, this is the
I'm looking
quickest
at Ohio
way.
Revised
If we
Code
went the
back.
other way, and here's my reservations over the other way, I wanted a TID all along. I didn't want anyone to confuse last week that we were against TID. But with the other way, when you've got 3 from this, 2 from this, another one here, another one there, then there was discrepancy on how many, non-voting members you can have. There was, some misconception on that. If we did it the other way, then we gotta wait for it to go back to Niles to pick their 2. Then we gotta wait for it to go to Howland to pick their 3. And,
And not to mention waiting on the schedule of those individuals to have a quorum to be able to vote on this.
right,
This makes it
and
very-
to get them to get together, to have the time to get together.
Right.
That's what worried me a little bit, was the time frame of that. This is something we can do now.
Exactly.
We're up and running now. They can schedule a meeting within a month
Right.
with these people. And, you know, when they said we're gonna lose funds, we don't know if the funding window's gonna be January or
Or
May,
March,
or
yeah.
March, or it was May, then it was March, this year we don't know what it is for sure. Now, there's a guy in Warren County that's a Warren County commissioner, I'm down in Cincinnati, he's like the foremost authority on this, who helped create a lot of these across the state, and he believes that the 5-member board is the most economic and feasible way for a county to do this.
Yep.
I was hoping to have him on the phone today, but unless I get a text back, but I'll do more research tonight just to make sure that way. And he's also gonna be providing the information on how many counties, how many TIDs there are in the state, and how many use this one versus the other one.
Okay.
The other one, I think, politicizes the process and just creates too many cooks in the kitchen. All this TID really does is enable us to get grant money, $250,000 to $500,000. And it isn't like it's a board that's out there making big decisions for millions of dollars, and we're gonna do this and we're not gonna do this. It's a board that's put together to get part of the $4.5 million that the state has set aside to try to get up to $500,000 for road construction related projects. So I agree with your thing here, especially with Eastgate with Mr. Kinnick.
Sure.
You know, he's like the foremost authority on that stuff. If he wants to do it, which I heard he would serve on this board, you know, I think it functions, you know, good that way. So I am in agreement with this, and the negatives of this are gonna be, we're not handing out board positions to a whole bunch of different people, giving a bunch of different people power, you know, which I think, especially in an election year, just politicizes the process even more. You know, we just want the best people to get the job done, to move forward, to get the end result, not to hand out positions to people. And even in the old one that was proposed the other day, it had where, go to, number 19.
Or 20.
It's 19,
Oh, 19,
it's
I'm
removed
sorry.
from table.
Oh, good.
And they're the same.
And if you look, it also has, a member at the discretion of the Speaker of the House, a member at the discretion, President of the Senate, a member from the Regional Planning Commission that's non-voting. And then there's authority in here where we could have had
Yes.
a whole bunch of other non-voting members. And where that really scared me with this was, I had heard the other day, you know, that you could literally have up to 30 people, a lot of them non-voting, but could sit on the meetings and offer things. And to me, that just seemed like,
Yeah, I think it streamlines it, I really do, and you're having the right people at the table making these decisions, especially when you talk about Eastgate, the county engineer, our planning commission. Those are the people that need to be making these decisions and these calls, so.
and I do understand Warren is the biggest, Niles is the second biggest, and
Sure.
Howland would also, so between them would be 7 seats. I really don't think anyone is gonna get too bent out of shape in those entities of not having to serve on another board and have another meeting to go to get, if the end result's gonna be the same for their entity, if they're still gonna do what's best for that project.
Well, and they're all members of the council of government, they're all members of Eastgate.
Right, so they have a
They
representative.
have representatives.
Martha Yoder, auditor, just, I looked up the Ohio Revised Code on this, and of course you'll wanna have, the prosecutor's office look at it, but it looks to me like the chamber membership requirement is for the other form.
Yeah.
Not for this.
So, not for that form, yeah. I, again, not an attorney.
Which again,
nor do I plan
streamlines
on
this
it.
process even a little bit more.
Right.
I'm in agreement. Okay, so we have to,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm not wanting to disagree with you, but I definitely would have the prosecutors look at this because
Yeah, oh, yeah.
it does say one of each appointment is made by the Board of Commissioners.
But it's under, hold on,
So there's two ways to form it.
Right.
but it's under C1.
C1?
Yeah, and
Mhm.
we're under C2.
Okay.
Does
Just
that
wanna
make
make sure,
sense?
yeah, so
I would
AB or
still
C.
have him check it, make sure we're reading it
I
correctly.
would too.
But it looks, to me, it looks like it's just for that first one.
Okay.
Because it says C1.
I just don't wanna give anybody a reason to,
No, I know,
you know what I
I
mean?
mean,
Well, if need be,
And it's not that
we
hard
can
to
hold it
join.
until the prosecutor's office looks at it, I'm fine with
Well,
it.
I mean, if
Just
you
you wanted
need,
to
if
support
it
it.
says we need to have that, I mean, it's just, that's a matter of making sure everybody is part of that, it's not, that makes sense?
Yeah, so aren't they doing C one though? Aren't they the ones
No,
electing?
they're looking at C two where they do,
Yeah, if you go to 2 as an alternate
that's,
to the
that's
structure
what we're
prescribed.
that's what they're looking at.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
Okay.
you go to,
As an alternate. So this is about C one and then, oh, where is it?
C1A, B,
C, and then this is C two. That's the alternate, that's what they're
Okay.
looking at, 5 members,
perfect,
okay?
okay, very good.
So that applies to the first
It
method of
applies,
forming it?
yeah, it applies to the first one.
Very
I
good.
would go ahead, you know, you could shoot
Wow.
Dan's own email and make sure, but I think that's probably correct. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
it looks clear to me.
And this might be something too, the one member appointed at the discretion of Speaker of Reps, shall be a non-voting member of the board, and who may be a member of the House of Representatives.
Mhm.
So we can put Representative Wojcik or Representative Santucci on it, it sounds like, or anyone he wants, they're a non-voting member. And even that could possibly be Mr. Kinnick, and,
Yeah.
and we can figure that out, but let's go with what we have here now, and then, but I do wanna change it to President of the Board and, or his
This representative,
Mhm.
designated representative.
All right. Commissioners, Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer, I wanna thank you for, this proposal, and if it does, go through that I am appointed to it, I feel it's an honor, and, I just thank you for entrusting me with this duty.
Okay, so, should we reverse them, should we untable the old one first? And then do this one after, or should we pass this one and then it makes the other ones moot, and then we, is there a difference in that?
maybe we should remove from table and, make it so it's chronological, remove from table, then the other proposed, method of doing it, and then the method that I proposed,
Okay.
so that we propose.
Yeah, so remove the old one from table. We'll discuss that, and then we'll,
Yours will be last.
It's the last,
yeah,
yes.
then ours will be the last one, that'll
Just so
be the
follows.
next step.
Thank you.
That takes us,
I'm not sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
I know,
So-
but I'm not sure.
yeah.
okay. To approve modification
I think
number
this is
one to
under
Bowman
20.
Appraisal Services for the appraisal services review, West Reserve Greenway Bike Trail Phase 4, 99804, located in Howland and Weathersfield Townships, and Warren and Niles Cities in the amount of $61.50 for the right-of-way services. Modification one increases the contract amount to $23,330. State capital budget pass-through funds share for this modification, $61.50. And to allow Denny Moy, President of the Board of Commissioners, to sign letter of form on behalf of the board. Zach?
Zach Reese, the Executive Director for Trumbull County Metro Parks. Items 21 and 22 are tied together, so I'm gonna go here right now. 21 is for the review of the appraisals that 22 would do. So 22 is actually doing the appraisal, and that's with MS Consultants, and that's for an increase of $11,583. And then with Bowman is the review of the appraisals, that's $6,150, and that is for the redesigned section of the trail that we did with the Port Authority at their request. So this finalizes the last 3 parcels on the route, so that way we can move forward and acquire this. And this has been reviewed by the outside council, both items.
These are the last 3 parcels.
that we need to acquire, yes. No general fund, or
Right.
general fund revenues.
Singing?
They're drooling, yeah.
Okay, you good with this?
I'm good.
You were handling this way before me.
I'm good.
Okay, thanks, Zach.
Yeah, absolutely.
23, authorize Board of Commissioners to join with the Trumbull County Prosecuting Attorney to file an application with the Court of Common Pleas for the appointment of Attorney Sam Amendolara as legal counsel for Judge Sandy Harwood, Judge Bluedorn, and Magistrate Scott Bombeck in connection with a subpoena issued to them by a litigant in the Trumbull County Court of Common Pleas Domestic Relations Division. We paid $2.50 an hour. Okay? Is this an insurance thing, or is this something just separate?
I think there's a litigant against the court, and
I mean, this is nothing we're like Horses handling, if that's what you're asking. This isn't on our radar. This is something completely separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 24, to approve the grant agreement between State of Ohio, Ohio Department of Ag, and the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners to set forth the terms and conditions upon which the Ohio Department of Ag will provide funding for the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners to undertake improvements outlined in Substitute House Bill 687, 134th General Assembly, Section 215.15.
That also came from building.
Okay. I'm just trying to wrap my head around
Yeah.
what it's for without having the bill in front of us.
Not
This
my
for the-
project, but
this
I
is
know
for
it's
the
for
steps.
yeah.
steps at the Ag Center.
Yeah,
It's been-
Jill knows about
So Bill Hart, Trumbull County Maintenance, yeah, I just received notification from Julie and from Bill Danzo and from Amy. County, water, or, phone water, so, yeah, as soon as I find out when the money's going to be available in the account, sure has to make the fund number so we,
This is the 9,000?
yes.
Okay.
This is what Ed Agler got the grant from Sandy O'Brien,
we-
and then wants to apply it to the steps, so this is just a process of us, getting the money, I guess, first off.
Correct.
Then the next step would be,
To hire a contractor to do the fund, make
Okay.
make it happen.
we're just going in the order of the way it needs done.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. And number 25, enter an executive session pursuant to revised code 12122G4, preparing for, conducting, and reviewing negotiations of the collective bargaining management strategy of Trumbull County Sheriff's Office. And then a reconvene from that. And I guess we'll deal with that tomorrow when there's someone from the Sheriff's Department here to,
I actually am helping them facilitate the process, so the conciliation was done. We just need to go in, make sure that you guys are aware of what the findings were. And to be quite honest with everybody here, there's no way to even deny it, so it's legally binding. So, long story short, we'll go in, talk about it, come out and approve it. And then that will, complete the Sheriff's OPBA or Sheriff's OPBA Corrections Officer's contract. That's just one. Then we have 4 more after that, so there's more coming.
okay, and that was, speaking,
Alexandra Bush, Human Resources Department.
there you go.
Sorry.
Number 27, approve the, and then to approve the conciliation findings issued by Jeffrey Belkin, conciliator, and that's what you said for the
Correct.
corrections office.
Yep.
All right, that concludes the regularly scheduled stuff.
Thanks, President.
I had a couple of things here, I guess we'll start with. Yes, we can do that. Okay, sir, go ahead and introduce yourself, and, we talked briefly last week, but
Yeah.
we wanted you to talk to the whole group.
Right. My name's Joe Zappatelli with Equitable Advisors. I'm a part of a team of local financial advisors. We specialize with working with public employees. We work with Ashtabula County already for the last, almost 20 years now, and then we work with just about every school district, because, school employees are also public employees. We are we've worked with the deferred comp for the 457 here, and the deferred comp is what all of you have, well, I think most of you, but all the employees here in the county have access to for their retirement benefit. So everybody has access, it has OPRS, but then also the 457 deferred compensation. So what we would like to do is add a second option for the employees to participate in the deferred comp. So, everybody right now has access to Ohio deferred comp, which is issued by Nationwide. They are kind of like a do-it-yourself plan. You kind of set it up and let it run. The second option with us would allow people to have a financial advisor to work with on their deferred comp if they'd like to. And then, the deferred comp also adds the ability to, there's about 85 investment options and a couple additional investment options on the inside. I don't wanna, have everybody's eyes glaze over as I go through that, but, yeah, so, and then, there's no cost to the county to add that either, so, it's just purely an added benefit for people to take advantage of if they want to. That's really everything.
So essentially, we have the Ohio deferred comp, we have the CCAO deferred comp that people are taking advantage of, and this would just be another option
Correct.
that employees can utilize.
Right.
No cost to the county.
Right, exactly.
Alexandra Steven Bush, I'm gonna get better at that, I'm sorry. So, and I did receive a letter from CCAO, making sure that we offer the Roth. We're fully compliant with everything that we currently offer. So this wouldn't be, necessarily getting us up to compliance, this is just an additional benefit. It's giving employees options, to say the least. So we only right now have one option, right? So if employees wanna use the second option, it's free to us, it's their choice, we're not pushing it on anybody. That's how HR views this process. And truly, when we talk about signing agreements, this would be just this is what we've done with the transitional work grant, this is what we've done with RESEA. All those things, it's really an administrative decision. It's not a contract because there's no dollar amount associated with it. It's an agreement. So this is very different. Run this through the prosecutor's office already with other things that the HR department's done. We just want to make sure everybody's on board.
I have no issue.
Other enrollment periods, things like that, is that something people can get in and out at any time?
Anytime, yeah, we're constantly around and they can stop whenever, doesn't matter the month or the day of the year.
Something we need to vote on, or is this just administrative?
I don't think.
Nope, it would be administrative. So, the agreement, I've already looked it all over. It's truly just an agreement. Like I said, I've already run this through building and so with other things. If it's just an agreement and there's no dollar amount associated, then it's just an agreement, and that's an administrative decision.
It's an added benefit for the employees, that's all. Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. You don't have to stay for the boring stuff if you don't want to. If you want to, you're more than welcome.
It's been entertaining, I've never sat in on something like that.
Come tomorrow.
No, one day was enough, that's good. I got plenty of work to do, so. Well, I'll stick around, because I think we're gonna.
Well, this might be a while, so if you
Okay.
prefer, we can touch base on the phone later. It's up to you, however you want to do it.
Okay, what's a while, like an hour?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll touch base.
Yeah,
We'll
it's
touch
probably
base.
better to touch base
Yeah.
later, yeah.
Oh, yep, cool. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, an issue came up, to me this morning, that one of our, tagged police cars was in an accident, it was totaled. They, the person was at fault, and the person's insurance company gave us $15,000 for the car, which was way less than what we had paid for it before. And they said they can go out and buy another $15,000 car, but they were hoping that they can, we could find money for another $10,000 so they could buy a $25,000 car. He said the used car market right now, what you get for $15,000 is a whole bunch of maintenance headaches, a whole bunch of problems. And he said with this being law enforcement related and could be used undercover and other things, that way they don't want the possibility of a car breaking down in a bad situation. Detective Yanucci called me this morning and asked if there's anything that can be done. I know we have some funds that are law enforcement related, things that they get back from, drug grants, things like that. Cheryl was looking into that to see if we had some funds in there. But the worst case scenario is they'd like to request an additional $10,000 to be able to put them into the next level of, getting a car potentially still with a warranty or with a little more reliability.
Yeah, I have no issues with that, obviously. I mean, this is law enforcement. An unmarked car, you're gonna be doing, whatever it is TAG does with those cars, so which is probably dangerous stuff and getting into different things, so, the last thing we want is something to break down, or, obviously we wanna support our law enforcement. If they need this vehicle, I think it's well worth it.
Right, I don't think this is waste. I did talk to him for a bit today about what the car was used for, and I do understand when you buy a car, the insurance companies only give you the market value of what the
Right.
car is now. They would have rather had the car they had,
Right.
but unfortunately, they can't anymore, so.
And the used car market is through the roof, unfortunately.
It is, so. Okay, so do we need to,
Alexandra DiVincenzi Bush, Human Resources Director. I only know this because I handled the facilitating of the check in the car. So the car was totaled, and then also I wanted to make sure the commissioners know, I don't know if Detective or Captain Yanucci spoke to you guys about this, but one of their other tag cars was also in a wreck. So they are actually, this one's not totaled, this one's being fixed, but they are running very low on, I wanna say good, decent, cars. So just something to keep in mind, that their other car was just recently in a wreck too. Not their fault, but for the record, I mean, they're down 2 cars right now, one's being fixed at the county garage.
I'm in favor of that.
so is this something we need to do, an agenda item, or we need to make one up for that?
We instructed him, yes, to put it on the agenda, yes, but they're requesting additional funds,
Okay,
because that has to be voted on. They really should be looking, I guess they're looking for the guarantee first, that you're gonna give them the money, then they can go out and look to procure, a quote. They usually use, I don't wanna say, is it Charchone, or
No,
who do they
there's
usually use?
There's Valley Chevy, Bill Hart, Trumbull County Maintenance. Valley Chevy on the other side of Akron is a state purchase tractor, so they could go and contact Valley and see what they have on site. I don't know if it's just Chevys or Fords that they have. I don't know what Ford company is, and I'm not contract for the state purchasing program, but, they may be out there as well as Rocky, so
do they have to do that if it's under 50,000?
if it's not under 50, no.
But you still have to.
But, yeah, under 50 and under is yes, you could go state contract.
contract,
More
yeah.
than 50, you need quotes.
You need to go out for bid.
So, if they
So we
can
just need to
find-
give them the okay, and then, eventually he'll rate up whatever the amount is that we're gonna,
Yeah, I'm assuming, because I didn't talk to him this morning, but I'm assuming he's just wanting to make sure that commitment is there, because obviously they're not gonna go out and wanna look for a brand new car if they don't know what their budget is, so.
Alex, will you work with them on the
Yeah.
agenda item and?
Yeah, no problem.
Preparing that.
Because they do have the check in hand for the 15,000, so they're just waiting for it.
Do they know what vehicle they want to look at?
I think that was their way of
Comparable?
asking, yeah, something, it was a Ford Fusion,
Okay,
so,
so yeah, we could even help Mike if he doesn't know how to get for a company. And then you could just wait and
sure,
make it happen.
so we'll work with them to help them,
Just comparable value,
Yeah.
whatever that was.
absolutely.
we'll save ARPA for last.
Okay.
Downstairs, Thursday is, you'll start moving day for AVI.
Is it?
That's what he said. Is the floor done?
No, we gotta get the equipment out.
They were supposed to pick that up last week, they didn't pick it up?
Didn't touch it. Get the memo, they were supposed to go out of contact with them.
Yeah, they were supposed to come last Thursday.
No,
He said he'd be here last Wednesday or Thursday.
no, still there.
All right, I'll make a phone call on that again today.
As long as they let me know when they're coming, then I can schedule the floor. I'm not gonna schedule a floor like I did and then not get it done in time, and then, he has other jobs, so now I gotta wait for that to all happen, so. And then just contact me, Commissioner, when they're coming, that way I can schedule the floor guys.
I'll call when we get out of this meeting and see, they were supposed to be last week. And then we'll get the floor scheduled, see when your guy can do it, and then we'll talk to AVI.
Yes,
They're ready to
they're
have
ready
their
to
team
go.
here Thursday.
Right.
Okay. All right, so with that, the things we need to talk about tomorrow is, we'll get to that. Furnishings, you know, to make sure that we're on board with that, with, tables and chairs, and a budget or a price on that, with that. And then secondly, we came up with a new idea last week that I think is beneficial, that I need to run by you. Beth is working with us to get some artwork for the walls, to talk about Trumbull County, so it kinda highlights some touristy places in Trumbull County, so when the staff's down there, it's got the Trumbull County feel. We were wanting a sign made that says, like Trumbull County Cafe, and I thought, with Trumbull County, we had Rick Muccio come in and meet with us, who does the political cartoons and the Tribune, been doing it for 20-some years, 30 years or whatever. Kind of a Trumbull County icon in his own right, although we've been bashed and everyone else has been, it still is part of our history, and it still is something that people look forward to, and he's known by pretty much everybody in the county for his talents. And it started with us talking to him about doing something for the wall that we can put on a nice piece of plexiglass hanging on the wall that, that shows signage. And then it got to the point where instead of having a TV on the one wall, we said, why don't we have a Rick Muccio wall and have him put the most famous historical things on the wall that he has, nothing that's bashing a politician or anyone in particular.
I like that.
But the ones he did, maybe commemorating 9/11 or commemorating things, the best of what he had. And he said he can do a collage of all the townships in the county
Oh, that's awesome.
and what highlights they have here, like what's in Farmington and what's in Brookfield or something they're known for through the county, like a historical thing.
Yep.
So what I wanted to do is propose, we have like a dedicated Rick Muccio wall, maybe put his picture on it, a little placard or something, where it's kind of a museum thing to him and his artwork and the service he's done in the county with those things over the years. To get all that done the way he proposed it for all the ones, the pictures, to get them reprinted, the stuff he did, he had some calendars he already made before that have historical things that he can reproduce, and then the big signage, we're looking about $2,500. I mean, but it's, getting things done up and printing stuff these days, that's, I think, a valuable tribute that the employees can come down and see that, and then know kind of our history of it the last 30 years, and he is somebody, I think, that when we talk about all the different people from Trumbull County we've had, I think we need to add him in there in a sense for what he's done with that. I mean, he's done some clever things on that.
Oh, yeah. No,
So-
I'd be all for it.
So then I guess we can move forward with that and have that wall that we can have them dedicate and decorate and figure out a PO or whatever with Sharon on how to get these things printed and reproduced.
Yeah.
And then Bill Hart, we'll work with him as far as the wall itself and how we're gonna mount the stuff, how we're gonna, get it up there.
How big they are.
Yep. Okay, so that's what I got for that, and then we gotta get on this, figure this floor thing out and stuff too, 'cause they're ready to move in, we don't want the employees to be without a vending machine for too long of a time, and, it'll be awesome. Okay, Julie.
Julie Green, Trumbull County Planning. I brought you handouts for the large solar. We went ahead and just developed the draft for you to implement the process. There you go, Lisa. So the first page, I know you can't read it, but that's the survey results so far. I reached out to Jason Toth and asked him, if the commissioners want to start the process and do an implementation resolution, do you need a resolution from the township? He said it's not legally necessary, but he recommends that you have those. Nick put together a draft resolution for the townships to pass. We did the draft resolution for you to pass, once you get through the whole process. And I even included a timeline here for, your office to follow, and, in notifying and the various things that are required for the process to begin, including a timeline. So, basically, what the commissioners need to decide is, which parts of the county you would like to have restricted area based on this survey feedback, and we could put together the map, and at that point, you can authorize the advertisement. At the same time, we can reach out, again, we've been reaching out to these various townships, asking for their feedback and their resolutions. But basically, they would have the entire time to pass that final resolution prior to, the commissioners taking action, passing the implementation resolution. So you can see here, it says day 33 or after, so you can actually do those two things concurrently, if that makes sense. Well, the commissioners can advertise for the public hearing authorize the written notice to be sent out to all the school districts, cities, villages, townships, post the maps in all the public libraries. In the meantime, our staff can distribute the boilerplate or template resolution for them to pass. Most townships meet at least once a month. So within that 30-day public notice period, they can pass that resolution, formalizing things. And the only tricky question is, if you have maps posted around, you sort of wanna have like a certainty from them. And I think you do have that from a number of townships already.
So, we want them to pass a resolution first in their township before we act on,
That's probably the best way, because you're gonna have to distribute these maps in all the public libraries, which have been signed here in the draft public hearing.
Well, it just legitimizes it that they're voting on it themselves, as opposed to
Yeah,
just
so
sort
that,
of,
it's not
you know.
legally necessary,
But-
but it's recommended by the
Yeah,
prosecutor's
it should
office.
probably happen that way.
Definitely,
Yeah,
It's just, the
Yeah,
whole
you build
process,
certainty to it.
right.
the whole process takes over a month, so it's just a matter of timing. I know that a lot of these townships would like this to be in place now. But it'll take them a month from the time you get that.
so that's kind of a stipulation that we're gonna make is they've gotta pass their own thing first. Because there was one township that said, yeah, we don't wanna touch it, we don't wanna be the bad guy and fight with our neighbors, you guys come and ban it for us. And that
No,
won't be the case.
If they want that, they have to pass. Right? I mean, wouldn't that be?
Yeah, they have to give you a sense of direction.
So once we get those resolutions, we can put together the map and, describe the map and the boundaries for
What about if we did that, and then they said, no, we don't want it, we don't want that resolution.
I don't know why they.
Right.
You mean lying?
I'm just saying, if they change their mind.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it, but I think they're
Public official.
well, at least we can laugh.
Well, I guess we either gotta do it now, or we gotta wait, because there are trustee elections coming up in November, and that could change the composition of the boards that they have.
Yeah.
But then again, if we do it before, that may,
That term starts probably in January.
Yes,
Yeah,
For new
Yep.
officials. will
so
start
they're
in
voting
January,
on things
so.
that, either way.
I mean, we're in
There's-
September already,
yeah,
so.
each township is electing one trustee,
It would be close,
and
but
their
you don't
fiscal
wanna get
officer and
that.
term starts in January.
We'll send out another email, but I would.
What are your thoughts on that? Do we want someone to vote on their way out the door, or do we want somebody, will this be a sticking point that could affect elections based on how their people vote? Do we want that to be a part of it?
Well, I think based on previous, prosecutors' opinions, you can modify this at a later date, so I think the
Right.
people that want to
The
pass
people
it
that
now,
pass it now, we can just do that
Yeah.
and amend as we go along, if more people wanna join.
you'll have to go through the process again
But
if
we-
you want to amend it.
But if those who pass a resolution and know they don't want this,
Correct.
I think we need to start the process with them, and then amend as we
Yeah,
go.
'cause there's a lot that have unanimously said that they
Absolutely
want
not.
it,
Right.
and they're gonna give you the resolution.
And if you have a unanimous vote right now,
Right.
that's not gonna change, because you're only electing one trustee.
That's true.
Unless you're that one trustee who's
That's
now all of a
true.
sudden on the hot seat by his residents that
Yeah.
may want it, then all of a
But,
sudden they're
but
gonna
they're
battle
not gonna
cry
have
against
they're
that
not
guy.
gonna have a majority no matter what. If they're unanimous right now,
Right.
and you're only electing one trustee, it's still gonna be, you guys all know from experience, it only takes two. So, it's not gonna change the outcome.
Okay, let's do that, Julie, go ahead and start the process.
Well, again, we've reached out a number of times with a lot of non-responses, so it might take some field work as well to.
But in the meantime, townships like Vienna, who were adamantly against it, obviously, with Phil Pegg,
Yeah, so.
they can pass, and we can start that process with them, and then add as we go.
Yeah, we've been working on it for several months, so I guess my question to you is, how long do you want me to give them to say, yes, here's the date that we'll have the resolution to you? and set a deadline, so that you can start the process. November first?
Yeah,
I think that works.
I think the ones that are adamantly against it will have no problem passing that as well.
Right.
But if you implement getting the word out, some of them are gonna have their meetings beginning of October, and we wanna make sure they don't miss the cycle. We give them November first, I mean, they're gonna have to talk about their October meeting. They're gonna have to get it on their agendas now, do the research, get the word out, all that stuff now, so the sooner we give them a heads up, the better.
Right.
Okay? Before we get in, ARPA, or do we have anything else? I see there are some people, I'm sure, concerned with transportation. What do we have on that now?
I've talked to, Mike Salamone about, planning an advisory board. As you know, we're also going after, potentially, after the meeting, we'll know a little bit more, but we have a meeting with, the city of Warren, scheduled, and WRTA, county. Potentially Eastgate would be a part of that meeting as well, on options. So, cautiously optimistic for that, but, meantime, we still wanna put together that advisory board. I told our transit administrator, just because he handles that, give me some names. Did shoot me an email with some people that should be on there. I mean, ultimately, it's the board's decision. We can whoever we choose on there, but we definitely want people who are stakeholders or have, that are riders or use the system, whether they be our system or WRTA, to be on the board as well. So, I think that's the next step is collecting those people to.
So who is in charge of collecting those names, putting them together, and then submitting them?
Well, it could be Mike Salamone. He's given us some names, and I'll have him share the email with you as well, who he thinks, could be potentially on the board. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't. I definitely think there needs to be more citizen representation, as I mentioned, from our system and from WRTA. I have some people in mind for that as well, but we just need a workable, manageable advisory board that's gonna give suggestions, a lot like the senior levy board, for the commissioners, that's gonna be comprised of different agencies and demographics of the community that are gonna be able to advise us as to which, and it's up to us. But in the meantime, we do have that, meeting coming up in early October. I don't have the date in front of me. I believe it's gonna be, ODOT's involved, and WRTA is involved, and, City of Warren's involved, and the county. Potentially will be not open to the public, so only one commissioner will go. I'm willing to do it, or if the chairman wants to do it, I will defer to him. There's a funding opportunity out there, even partial funding, to implement some routes or anything like that. I think we need to at least ferret that out first.
I would recommend that you be a part of it.
Okay.
I'm too new into this game. You've got history and experience with it.
And we're gonna lean heavily on ODOT and the state and make our case that, just because we're not joining WRTA doesn't mean that we don't need fixed routes, doesn't mean that we can't apply for funding that's out there to augment what we have with the Warren Express. So that's what we wanna try to get through to them is, look, just because the $7 million doesn't fit us financially, doesn't mean that we don't wanna, we just hate that option that it's either $7 million or nothing. So what can we do in the middle here where we can augment what we have with Warren Express in our own system, and what funding potential is out there? We're gonna find out. That question right there.
Hello, Commissioners, my name is Sarah from Gerard. Would like to know, am I able to be on the board?
Yes, absolutely.
We mentioned that already, as riders go. I was thinking of you, and I'm sure Commissioner Malloy was as well.
Yeah, I want you and I want Mr. Joseph, who's
Yes.
attended the meetings.
Yes.
definitely those two to, any type of advisory board we have, I want you a part of it.
Thank you.
So we need to, there after the meeting, we need to, get you with one of the clerks, get your information, to get over to Mike Solomon, so we have the contact information for when they have the meeting, or to officially nominate you to make sure you're on there.
Thank you.
And yes, we get that moving, so
Yes.
we can get this thing,
And by all means, if the commissioners think of names or people that they want on there, I mean, we wanna make it a manageable, we don't want it like a 20-person board, because
right,
forums and trying to find time to get all these people scheduled at the same time is difficult, as we know with scheduling. So, I mean, an 8-person board, I think, is manageable. I'm just throwing that out there, but if you want something different, I think an 8-person board is good.
I think that's fine too, and the stakeholders more
Yeah.
than anything on this,
Sure.
not the,
Eastgate can be a part of
not
that.
the suits, we want the people that actually.
Sure.
Okay, anyone else have anything else besides, yes, there's that?
Yeah, Zachary Smith, Executive Director for Trumbull County Metro Parks. I brought this to you guys' attention a couple weeks ago about bringing on an additional part-time employee for the Park District. I know there was some new information that Auditor Yoder was, I don't know if you shared with both.
I have not, but I can right now if you want.
You shared it with me, Auditor.
Yeah, it did, not with both, but I
Okay.
did share with you. So there was a recommendation made about privately contracting for these services, and the issue that raises and makes it very difficult is that we really can't give somebody outside of county employment access to Munis. And the individual that, you know, Zach would need to do these kind of things would need to have that access. So we really, the idea of contracting it out is just, this particular service is not really workable.
So,
And I did talk to Attorney Danzo about this as well, and he agrees with me.
that doesn't leave us a lot of options.
No.
Obviously, hiring somebody part-time would be the option. We
Right.
wanted to try to do our due diligence and look at that option first to try to save money, but if that's the case, legally and financially, then we need to look at a part-time person, obviously.
Want me to bring that for an agenda item next week for you?
I'd like to look at it first, yeah.
Okay.
What you're proposing, if that's
Okay.
okay. Before it's an agenda.
I'll send it over to you.
Thank you.
Cool.
Right. Yes, sir.
Real quick, and I apologize for bringing this up during a
Name and
workshop.
title, please, sir.
Oh, Tim Hanford, Trumbull County IT. We received a public records request, actually, Auditor Yoder received it along with, some other individuals, and passed that on to me, concerning security camera footage from, this camera over here in the hearing room, from 12 to 1, last Wednesday. I would like to have the board, review this request and give permission to release that video. If they, well, to be honest, I mean, you probably all saw it, it came from Commissioner Frenchville for that.
And I know, we know exactly what it was.
Yes.
It was, I was talking to the gentleman about the FERC comp, he was leaving,
Right.
Morrow came out, greeted him, how you doing, talked about this. Morrow and I chit-chatted about something that had absolutely nothing to do with county business, and she peeked her head around the corner and said, "You guys can't stop violating the sunshine law." Just bullshit, give her the tape, she can
Okay.
play with it, watch it, loop it, I don't care.
That's fine, I would go ahead and release it.
I mean, commissioners in Ashtabula County ride to conferences together, they fly to Austin together, they go to lunch together. I'm allowed to see more in the hallway and say hello, I'm allowed to have houses, I'm allowed to have houses, family, you know, that's not illegal.
Right,
So,
okay, all right, perfect, thank you very much.
yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Tim, gift wrap and put a bow on it, please. Yeah. So, anyone else have anything for the good of the county? Yes, sir,
Bill
Mr.
Hart,
Hart.
Trumbull County Maintenance, we did advertise for the stone building, renovation project and the highway engineer roof project, so we should be back within 17 to do those and pick somebody to do these projects first.
And both projects are very, very important, we're not dragging our feet on any of them, we're doing due diligence of what we have to do to get it done. And it was brought up again in Township Association meeting the other day, to the township officials, there may be delayed service, I can't see why there would be any delayed service in plowing because you can't put a truck in that building. And I would also like to ask publicly if there are any northern townships that have a building that we can park a truck in, why couldn't we just park it in one of their garages if they have space so that we can plow the northern townships? I also brought up the proposal, Maxwell in Cortland has a big facility where they store RVs, boats, and cars for the winter, and they put hundreds of trucks and cars and buses and boats in that building. Maybe we can contract for the back area just to park a truck in, and it was brought up, the county engineer said, well, we gotta put a plow on it, we gotta fill it with salt. That's all outside anyway. You know, that's all something that they can start the truck up in the morning in the cold, which is, to me, seemed to be what the problem was, why there would be a delayed service, and drive over around the corner to load up in salt, put the plow and do whatever that they would normally do outside anyway, after they pull the car out of the building. I don't know why there's such a big deal being made of it. I don't see where the delay is gonna be, other than, I understand they want the trucks in a heated building, so they can start them up quickly in the mornings to get going. If we need to find another building, we'll find another building in the meantime, or we can at least request it. I'm sure somewhere in the county, northern part of the county, there's a building, if we needed a heated building somewhere, we could find, or we can rent, lease, or whatever for the time frame, if that's a problem. If not, just move forward and do our jobs. Anyone else have anything for the greater good?
Too, that's good. Cards in the
fairground.
I didn't know if they wanted to do something, that's all right. The, drainage
Bill Hart,
project.
maintenance again?
Sorry, Bill Hart, maintenance. Drainage project is finished, it's paved, striped. The four horse barn buildings are done. Did on Friday, if not Friday, then yesterday, and I have not gone out there to check this morning or yesterday. So those two are done, and Julie and, Mike are working on the 4H building, so they're getting close, and myself and Mr. Salinsky did the commercial bathroom, so we could save the
So they're gonna start in 4-H building probably in spring? I don't imagine they would do anything now, would they?
Well, Julie Green, Trumbull County Planning, procurement can begin now. The plan is to go through the design build process, and so we're finalizing the RFQ. We'll have, reviewed and approved and then advertised. So that process typically takes a couple of months. So by the time we get through that process, then the potentially 2024.
And have that building ready to go before fair time next August?
That's beyond my scope of expertise. That would be some Bill or a Michael question.
Step it up a gear, let's
Depends how
get
many
it done.
people they have on the job at the time, I guess, so.
Yeah, no, it's very important to them, and that'll be awesome when it's done. Between that and the bathrooms, that's a heck of an upgrade in 1 year for the fair, and just between the roofs already, and that the parking this year was phenomenal. It was, you know, great the way they did it this year, no issues at all. A lot more to do out there too, down the road. Okay, Martha Yoder, our esteemed auditor, has an ARPA update.
Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor. I've given each of you commissioners, including the commissioners not present, prepared a packet for you. In the first part of the packet, you have, this is the same map that I gave you before, but it's just smaller. I just made it a little bit easier to kind of put in a notebook or whatever, but it's the map of the ARPA funds committed before the pause, and then the spreadsheet that we have been using all along for those allocated, and I kind of added promised because some things are not technically allocated, but they were promised, the EMA vehicle, things like that were promised within a meeting. So I've kind of tweaked the title of that a little bit. And those were, this is as of now, although it's dated 9/19, I haven't had any changes to it since then. So, the only thing I want to say about this is that, to remind you, is that the numbers are still soft, and there's some things that could still be adjusted. We've noticed that, you've noticed that with things like the change orders that we had where we adjusted up. There maybe things that get adjusted down, particularly the Ween building is one of those things. Our commitment to that is, I think, $2 million, and it does not look like it's going to be that expensive, but we won't know till it's all over. So those things will be adjusted. As those are adjusted, I'll be getting that back to you. Also, within the allocated and promised projects, there are two, that are not quite finished being done, that are the engineering studies. And when I say not quite finished, I mean we don't have the figures for them, as far as, we have the figures for what they cost, but they are things that lead to other potential projects. One of those was the engineering for the JFS windows, and the other one is, the engineering for HVAC system for the county engineers North River Road building. So the money for those two projects themselves was spent, but they lead to other things, right? So the windows being done in the JFS and the HVAC being done at the county, North Road County Engineering Building. So neither one of those, we don't have the costs associated with the follow-up projects. So they're not on either one of those spreadsheets. So I'm telling you to keep that in mind. So you need to decide if you're going to follow, first of all, if you're going to follow through with those projects. That money, and actually from what I've been told, the engineering on the JFS building windows has been spent twice over the years. So you've spent that money for the engineering, you need to decide if you're gonna follow through, and then you're gonna need to decide how you're gonna pay for it once we know how much it costs. And whether that comes from ARPA or it comes from borrowing, right? We can borrow those because they're capital improvement projects. Keep in mind too, that if you do decide to borrow, that it would be best to do that as we're doing this upcoming borrowing for the two roofs.
Okay.
Right? We've got those on the table, right?
I would be in favor of lumping that together with the two roofs, because that'll free up some ARPA money too.
I think so.
And that was gonna be done
right.
prior to ARPA anyway, should have been done with all the COVID and all that, but then it got pushed on the back burner.
Right.
I would be okay with that, so we could free up some money for ARPA. Yeah.
All right, you guys both are looking at it. So as we get those numbers then, and we're looking at, I explained that we're doing our, the OMAP program to get a rating, an S&P rating. We don't have a Moody's rating right now because, we paid off all the things that gave us the Moody's rating. So it's kind of like, you know, if you don't have credit because haven't borrowed anything.
Right.
We're in that situation, right, yeah. So, we're working through the treasurer's office, the state treasurer's office for the OMAP, and we do need to get numbers on those applications as well. So as soon as we get numbers, we'll just start pushing that towards that. The other spreadsheet in your packet is titled, pending requests as of 9/15/2023. And that was, of course, the deadline for the request. As you look at this very colorful spreadsheet, you'll notice some things, and I want to kind of go over that. First of all, it's important to understand that at the time of the pause, unallocated, unpromised requests were at one of 4 places within the process. And there's always been, as far as I know, this process where we have four different places. So you have requests that are requested, and nothing's been done with them. And of course, all requests since the pause are also in that category, and they're not highlighted. So anything that's not highlighted is something that it's just been either sitting there since before the pause, or it's come in since the pause. Then we had requests that were approved by the commissioners for submission to the attorney, but they never got submitted because of the pause. And those are highlighted in red. So they just stopped right where they were at. And then we have those that are approved by the commissioners for submission, submitted, but no decision was made before the pause, so they're highlighted in gold in the spreadsheet. And we have those that were approved by the commissioners for submission, submitted to and approved by the attorney, but they never came back to the board because of the pause. So they never got officially approved, and those are highlighted in green. Some things that you should know, and you have the exact numbers. I'm gonna just kind of do some rounding on this when I give them, as I say them out loud. The total of all pending requests, so the total of every single request on this sheet is just about 18 million, 17.9 something. So we're at about $18 million of what we have requested. You know that we have between the two on your, promise, those totals that we have left on the promise, we have a little over 10 million left, I think 10.3 million between the two columns, right? So you've got to decide how to spend that 10.3, and you've got about $18 million that people want, all right? Just to give you a little breakdown of those requests, because I talked about those highlighted requests, I want to just give you an idea. Those that were approved by council and we're kind of waiting for you guys to approve, that's a total of 720,879, 5 of those with 5 requests. Those of the, total of those submitted to council, but we got no decision on, $2,484,522.70, 13 requests. Total of those approved for submission, but not submitted to council, so those were just kind of waiting in the queue, 692,100 with 3 total requests. Just a little more information about the spreadsheet and the information I've got for you, so as you make your decisions. On this spreadsheet, the pending requests include short notes about each request and also the location benefited in the final column. The commissioners, what we've done, what Sharon and I have done, is we've set up a folder on your drive. So you can access that folder called ARPA Pending Applications, and that folder contains only information about the pending request. So you don't have to wade through any other applications, anything that's been denied or approved previously. The only things in that folder are things on this. So it makes it much easier. So you look and you go, Bristol Township Park, I want to know a little bit more about that. I want to look at the application. You go on that ARPA Pending Applications folder, you pull it up and you find Bristol, and all the application is there. Any other information we have, any correspondence is also there, right? If you have questions that are not answered in the file, you can talk to me, or you can reach out directly to the requesters. Their information is in those folders as part of the application. Good luck. As you make these decisions, I've become very familiar with these requests as I've gone through them, and I have my own opinions, but know that you have difficult decisions ahead of you because I've looked at them. My next steps, what I get to do while you guys are deciding all this, is work on making sure all the requesters have that unique entity identifier number. And if they don't, working to help them get through that process, so that if they get picked, they have that all on the table and ready to go, all right? That first spreadsheet, the allocated promise spreadsheet, has to be kept up to date because we'll have change orders, we'll have things. I'll be working on that. I'm also going to add some columns to that for the status of the request. And by status on this case, I mean if something has been, it's an inside project for us and it's been completed and everybody's paid that. If there's been money allocated or encumbered but not spent, those kinds of things, we'll be doing that. The other part of that is going to be figuring out what I need to do, what we need to do for follow-up and accountability. We talked about that a little bit before. We need to find out exactly what we're required to do and start to figure out how we're going to do it. And so I'll be working on that. And then there's one more thing that's sort of just kind of sitting out there, and that is Cortland Community Foundation. We hit a bit of a snag with them. They're part of a bigger foundation, and so we have to figure out how we can get this straightened out. It's just about who signs and all of that, and we're gonna untangle that as well. I wanted to also talk a little bit, I know that last week in the meeting when you referenced that I would be handing the spreadsheet, the other commissioner referenced her spreadsheet and asked if she would be getting that all filled in. And obviously, that's not what you're getting. But I wanna explain why I didn't do that. That spreadsheet was sent to Shara Taylor on August 9th. On August 8th, I had handed you guys, or the board, the beginning spreadsheet that we started with, that we had already started working on, but that was the first version that we handed you. And in that spreadsheet, although it was still on one spreadsheet, we had divided at that point money that had been promised from money that had not yet been promised. So the pending from that, we still had it on one sheet at that point, we've divided it since then. The spreadsheet that was sent the day later to Shara did not have those requests divided. So that's one thing. We would have had to go back in and redivide if we utilized her spreadsheet. It also had, there were also requests that we had already eliminated because we found that they were duplicated. Those were still on that sheet. We would, again, had to go back in and redo that. Additionally, I found, just in looking over that spreadsheet, at least one glaring error, with regard to, identifying a request that supposedly came from Farmington but was Gustavus, and it was a repeat of another request. So knowing that, I would have had to go through that spreadsheet like I had already done with the other one to identify any more glaring errors or any more errors before I could even work with it. So that, to me, that spreadsheet was just dead in the water. There was no way I was gonna work with it, and that's why. It would have created so much more work in utilizing that. Now, she had some things that were added as far as status, and what she referred to as status was where they were in the process as far as, you know, had they been sent, had they not been sent, that, what I just identified on here, I don't have that as a column, I do have it identified on here through the color coding. So I did address one of the things. The other one that she wanted addressed was the money part of it, how much have we actually spent, how much is encumbered. Quite frankly, I'm going to do that, but quite frankly, for what we needed to do at that time, what we needed to do is exactly how much money have we promised? How much do we have left to promise, right? Whether it was encumbered or unencumbered, and I was utilizing that stuff from Munis to know that, but whether it was unencumbered or encumbered or whatever, that wasn't what was important for you guys. You needed to have that, how much do we have? How much have we promised? The other stuff is secondary. It's important, don't get me wrong, that's why I'm going back and doing it. But for what we needed at the time, we had to figure out what we were doing. We needed a compass. Where are we right now? We didn't need extraneous information. We didn't know that Pittsburgh is however many miles away. We needed to know where we were, right? And so that's why I did it that way. I just wanted to make sure that it was absolutely clear why we didn't utilize that, because I think it's gonna keep getting waved around, but I wanted to make sure it was at least clear to you guys why I did, all right? Do you have any questions about what I've given you?
This is perfect.
This is perfect.
This last sheet with what is still pending is absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
The only modification I would like to make is, ran into a trustee at the association picnic the other day from Fowler. He submitted his on paper, they didn't put it in the portal. There's miscommunication back and forth with the messages and their clerk and the other trustees. And he asked me if there's any way they can still have that considered or be put in the portal now, so we consider in this round. I don't see that we have any other Fowler requests.
That's up to you guys and how you wanna do it, if you wanna make that exception. If you give me, if there's a copy of that someplace that I can just go ahead and put on the drive, and I'll add it to this, and you guys can, you know, add it yourselves for now, but I'll do another one for you,
Okay.
all right?
Good. No, I have the printed one, and then we've gotta make contact and tell them, put it in the portal. If the portal's open, if it's closed.
It's not, you can't get through it. So at this point, if you have the printed one,
Yes.
just send me a PDF of it, just email it to me. I'll make sure it gets on, if this is what you want me to do.
Yep.
I will make sure
I
it
just
gets
don't want
on
Fowler
your
to miss
drive.
out because of the
Right, and I
inaccess to the
understand, but it's
trustees or
the only issue that I would have is that some
miscommunication.
people might have a problem with that you're letting us do something, but That's up to you guys.
And I wouldn't let it do it if we had not had the paper one in from January, and so they had something in that just wasn't in the proper way, but we had something here in writing that was submitted to us.
So, here's
It's in
what
the
I
file.
suggest that you do for now. I can do a new one of these and get them to you, send them up to you guys, if that's what you want me to do. But send me that first, and I will get you guys more copies.
Okay.
Because I have to make adjustments to the totals and all of that too, but, it won't take me very long. I can do it.
Okay.
Anything else on the ARPA? Because I have one more thing that's not related to ARPA. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. Alexandra Jonesy Bush, Human Resources Department, for all of our sanity purposes, is this spreadsheet housed on the commissioners, within the commissioners folder? Is the spreadsheet itself housed in there?
Not right
And there's
now.
a reason I'm asking. So I would propose to the board, and to save everybody else from the trouble that is probably gonna be forthcoming, there's been a lot of fuss about this spreadsheet within the office that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. I would ask that if this suffices for you guys, that we give the spreadsheet in electronic form to any other member of the board or whatever the case may be, and if they want to adjust it themselves, they can have their own version and they can adjust it themselves. That's what I would propose to the board to hopefully eliminate some issues about the spreadsheet in the future.
Whatever eliminates issues.
Yes.
You don't want anyone to be able to change our.
Correct, so you
Ending
would
folder.
preserve yours.
Well, no.
Right, that was the other thing.
That's what I'm saying, send it to her
Right,
electronically.
just-
She can change it however she
I
wants.
can send it to her electronically. I won't have it, if she
I'm
wants to
just
make it, if she
trying
wants to
to-
make adjustments to it, I'll be glad to do that. After I fix it, I'll send it to her electronically if she wants to. But we have to keep it,
Yes, preserve your copy.
preserve
But if
it.
she wants to change it the way she wants to change it, or
To-
whatever,
for her own use,
she can
that's
absolutely
fine.
do that, and
That's
then we're.
fine. I will be glad to do that after I make the adjustment that I need to make. The other thing, and Mr. Masaki brought something up, because the requests are something, we don't want things going in and out of that folder. If it's okay with you guys, I will ask IT to make that specific folder read-only.
That's a great idea.
Okay, yeah,
All right.
that'd be good.
That's a really good
That'd be
idea.
Thank you for reminding me, I'd forgotten about that. Anything else on ARPA?
Just, I guess we will see tomorrow. I will ask again if she has dates for a meeting where we can publicly go over this stuff. And if so, we'll do that. If not, then, I would ask that you and I next Tuesday continue the discussion with this at the end of next Tuesday's workshop and start adding and eliminating stuff, as we see
We'll
fit.
talk.
I mean, some of the stuff too, it's already been to the attorney, we can put on
Right,
the
you have
agenda.
some, I mean, if you,
yeah.
if you wanna handle it that way, that's up to you. There's the ones that are in green, those were things that, if you wanna just do them, that's do them,
I
but
would say the
remember
green
that.
ones, we start for next week, not to put anything on, Lisa now, but over the next week, we start the green ones, at least. We
Mhm.
submitted them there, if we got the opinion back,
Yep.
then we start putting some of those on the agenda. And then we'll just go on a case-by-case basis, and
Mhm.
the way I'm gonna do it is look at the map and see areas that have got nothing yet.
Right,
And then look up their request of what they have. With the townships, I still wanna stick by whatever we have that's in there, half of whatever's in there. So if it's 10, I'm gonna start with 5, and figure out how many townships haven't got something yet, divide the money, figure in my head whether that's 200,000, 250, 150, and then if they have grants up to that, those are the ones I'm gonna try to push through.
Mhm.
And then if there are nonprofits that are in those areas, or that identify with a region or regional concept of something, or something that we have that's not township related, that's gonna affect that area, then I'll try to fulfill that way in my head, and that way everyone gets a piece of the pie. And if we're gonna do county stuff outside of that, then if they haven't got a big piece of pie, they're gonna get more of that way. And then whatever we have left after that is what we're gonna look at is, okay, now, what are the best of the best that's remaining?
Mhm.
And some of them may be all or nothing, and if it's something where we can't reach that amount, then we'll have to make that tough decision there. Or if it's something where, in their application somewhere where they have different things listed, where you say, we'll do this, but not this,
Mhm.
then I think that's the fairest way to go with that.
I
I'm gonna
will-
really hold off on any county stuff, buildings, brick and mortar, those types of things as a last resort. I think we've done a ton of that already. We've done a lot of infrastructure. Not that that's not good,
Right.
but we can literally probably spend 10 million just on more infrastructure
Right.
stuff, and that doesn't help the whole county.
I will note, just my observation, and I didn't like keep track or anything, but the township requests that aren't like big infrastructure, like trying to get roads or things like that, tend to be the smaller amounts.
Right.
They're
I
not,
agree.
they're not huge amounts.
They're smaller amounts for us,
Right, but they're
for a
big for
little
them,
township,
yeah, absolutely,
like Green or Gustavus, that's a huge
Right.
amount. You know, if they get
Absolutely.
$50,000 or
right.
camping gets an
Right.
ambulance, that's a huge amount.
And what
It's
I'm
not
saying
even
is
camping.
your promise, it can be a little more easily kept through some
Yes.
of those smaller
Because
requests.
they're more manageable,
Right,
typically.
right.
I mean, some of them aren't, but a lot of them
Right, there's exceptions to that, particularly when it comes to their more infrastructure type projects. And we've already had one road project denied from the legal counsel, so some of that almost $18 million is, you know, there's big chunks of it that are those kinds of things, so that might not even
Yeah,
fly
well, and I
anyway.
see one of them on there right away, like, you still have Kinsman Township listed on here as a potential one. That was
Right.
already denied for the police garage.
No, that was another one. They had two requests. They had two requests.
What was the first one that was denied,
One was for 200,000 and one was for 100.
right?
Okay,
They did submit another one,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
yes,
right,
after their one was denied, but I.
Right, but what's showing on here, I thought it says building the house police vehicles, and I thought that was the one that was denied.
They had two requests. I can't tell you off.
I'll go look in the drive and see if I can find anything on that. I apologize, but I was kind of working off what I
No,
had, but,
Pretty sure, yeah.
okay.
Kinsman Township. Funds for construction, storage, garage for township equipment. So the other one was 200,000,
One
but
was
it
for
was storage
police
of police
and one was
garage.
for,
Public health and safety,
Mhm.
for the
yeah.
emergency shelters, I see, for Kinsman.
Are you looking at a different one there?
Yeah, they have,
Kinsman Playground, Kinsman
Right.
Township.
I think
Okay.
one
But on
because,
the second page,
Oh,
but on the second page,
I see that.
There was
Funds
two, there was two
storage.
requests submitted.
thank you.
One was for 100,000, one was for 200.
right,
The one was addressed, one, we don't wanna take it off our sheet unless it's
Okay.
been officially,
okay, right,
officially
it was
addressed.
yeah, it was the second
Because
request.
then you're gonna get
But I see
complaints.
the other ones later in there too. Those are ones I think
Yeah.
that after the
Right.
one building was
And,
done,
right,
Okay,
they
they
didn't,
submitted
they
some
didn't
others.
pull the other one, but they did submit something else.
Okay.
right.
So it might be an indicator that when you review that, that's a likely questionable project to be a.
We go to the other ones first.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, Okay.
Nothing else with ARPA, and I just have one more thing.
Yep.
I just wanted to give you guys an update on, the 2023 audit by the auditor state. Back in June, you received an email from, the auditor state's office, I think it was Mr. Halusko, stating that the, audit for 23 would be done, by an IPA, independent public auditor. And as part of that, what we have to do, is cooperate with the auditor state's office in their bid process. They actually do, the RFP, that's already been done. Christy Cesarek, my senior accountant, and I sat in on a, pre-bid conference with Eric Halusko and two of the potential, auditors. There may be more than that. There's not a requirement that they sit in on that conference. If there's somebody that already is familiar with, our county for whatever reason, if they've already been a vendor or something like that for something else, they might skip that just because they don't need that information and it's a waste of their time. It's basically what that conference was, just letting those folks know a little bit about our county. There's a form that they're given with information, and they can ask questions from that. So Christy and I answered questions. Those bids are due October 17th, and then once those come through, the majority of that decision is, the auditor state. but my office also has some points for preference. So if there's, say, there is, Julian Group does our gap conversion, and, they're familiar with us, if they're in the running and it's close, we can give them enough preference points to put them over if that's what we want. So that's kind of how that works. Initially the bids were actually due October 7th, but that's been put off because our 22 audit has been delayed, the results of that. As you know, they've been working on that since end of March, beginning of April. The financial part is completed. Each of us, as public officials, receive, letters called fraud letters, and, we fill those out for any items of fraud that we may suspect within the county. There was a fraud letter that was turned in by one public official, late in the game. They were due in like May, and it was just recently turned in. They have to investigate those.
And, we are currently, the HR office is currently working through those, just so the commissioners are aware. So the HR department, Alexander DiVincenzi Bush, has fulfilled the 3 requests that the state auditors made of myself. So all 3 had to do with potential HR matters for 2022. Those have been turned over to Eric Lesko and something Jones, his supervisor as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember the first name.
Joe, is it Joey Jones?
I think it's
like
Joey
a
Jones.
J, yeah.
I think it is.
I didn't wanna say the wrong word.
I'm much more familiar with Eric. The only other thing with regard to the 23 audit is we were asked our preferences as to whether we would want them on-site or off-site, and we did not express a preference on that. However, if whoever, ends up being our, independent auditor wants to be on-site, they will utilize the space currently utilized by the auditor state in the basement, and that, Mr. Halesko said that they would be cleaning that out soon when they're done with, 22. So that space will be cleaned out and utilized for, if necessary, for the independent.
Right.
Wanted to make sure you guys were aware of all that.
Very good. Bill Hart, just one last thing. We talked about the floor. What about the wall, painting of the wall there for them to move the stuff in?
Yeah, they're working on that out front, they're still digging down to the ground to see where they can find where the water's coming in from, so,
Still haven't found that?
no, they're still digging it out.
So what do I tell these guys? I gotta give them a date.
If we get the floor done, and we can cover the tops of the machines, it does pour, and it depends on which way the rain comes in, because if it blows this way, yes, it's gonna hit the building and run down, but if it comes east or west or south, it's not gonna penetrate inside, because we've already had rain since then. But if it comes to shove, we have to tarp until we find out where it's coming from. That's all that's down here. What we could do is traffic, keep it maintained within a certain area and keep their stuff from.
Right, but I mean, we're gonna paint the wall before they put their stuff in there.
We could, if
the
we have
racks.
to pull it out, we can have pallet jacks, we can put them up, cover the floor, and then drag it across with cardboard or something. You know. Yeah, we're working on that too. It's a process.
So we have the floor, if the machines are out of there today or tomorrow, we can have the floor done this week and that the wall painted this week.
I'm hoping, yes.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? I need to see you after school, Beth.
Always in trouble.
And,
Can't keep them out of shit. Question, Commissioner. Do we
Yes,
know
sir.
when the photos and whatnots are coming?
Our
How long? No, Rich.
we get the approval now today to have them go and start to print them, and that's gonna be a while. That's gonna be
One of the last things.
that'll be down the road project.
Okay.
Yep.
And we've selected photos in frame, so hopefully within the next week or so, we'll get those over to you
Yes,
for hanging.
that's fine, thank you.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to adjourn, that's it?
second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Denny, Other than the one that he did of me in a wrestling uniform, I was happy with Mr.